Hi everyone, and oh my goodness, thank you so much for watching. I am actually amazed at how fast this YouTube channel has grown already. Thank you all the subscribers, all the people who commented, all the people who liked, all of these good things. It's amazing, and I'm about to tell you what that does to me, but welcome to the review of the third month of the Milan Art Mastery Program. Last time when I filmed, I didn't even realize I only have 1 month left. So I think I'm most looking forward to part 3, but it seems that part 2 is everybody's favorite part. So I'm facing that coming up. So that's amazing. Review of month 3. It was a good month. It was strenuous in some ways because I'm facing a lot of demons. And I think that's what happens if you want to be an artist. You have to do a lot of introspection. And that's just not always comfortable. And so that's where you guys come in, because all these subscribers has caused me to suddenly face some demons. Like, what if they're all gonna watch me fail? And what if the art that comes out of me is really ugly? What if nobody likes the art that's gonna come out of me? And I mean, that's for me, that's the main goal that I have for this program. It is finding my voice, finding my style. And I realize I'm scared of what's gonna come out of me. But do not unsubscribe. No, I can take it. I'm really looking forward for what's to come. So one more thing I want to say before diving into the assignments. The mindset is really important for this program. For me, I viewed the assignments as exercises. And Milan, who's the founder and main teacher of the course, she also calls them exercises. And that means I am given a technique that she shows me how it's done, and then I try that out. From there on, I will choose which techniques I want to master. I don't have to master all the techniques. I only have to master the techniques that are relevant for the art that I want to make. Why is that important? Well, I think that if you are expecting yourself to create only masterpieces during the first part of this program, you are going to have a bit of a hard time. And you are most likely, unless you're a super painter, not going to be able to keep the time limits that they give. And if you're not able to keep time limits, you might get delayed in the program. Now that's okay if you don't have your mindset on finishing it in 1 year. Totally okay. It's also totally okay if you decide that you're going to use these exercises to produce real art, meaning your art that you are going to totally want to sell. But then you also will not want to rush through. And I had to rush a lot. I know it could be so much better if you didn't rush it, you know, because rushing isn't always the same as being loose. So that's a mindset you might want to think about, where you put yourself, where you see yourself, whether every single one of these assignments is going to have to be a perfect piece of work. So for me, it doesn't, but I will tell you that they have changed things up a bit. And every month they do contests, and you can win really great prizes. And you are handing in assignments from the mastery program. So that's where that plays in, where you're like, well, maybe it's going to be really worth it to give it my all and to go over time and to whatever, you know, because then you have a chance to win these prizes. Just giving you the information. One of my tips in the last video was practice your signature. I still stand behind that, but that's not what Milan Art Institute necessarily wants you to do at this stage of the program. I found it because I wanted to know about the varnishing. Sure enough, I found that, and I think it was in part 3 of the program. And there magically also came some information about signature. Now, they wouldn't want you to even put your signature on part 1 pieces at all yet, because they say you first have to find your signature. Good point, right? And finding your signature in their program comes after you finding your voice, because that kind of has to match each other. So I still say practice it, but maybe be ready that it's gonna change. They also don't tell you don't put your signature on your painting, so most people do. So you do what you choose to do, obviously. In your whole life, you do you. All right, now let's dive in. So we had this elephant drawing, which is white on black. Actually, the exercise is about mark making, not so much photorealism. And I chose this elephant because I felt that there's a lot of different marks that I can practice with the skin, with the hair. And I was tired of always hearing myself, I want to be more loose, I want to be more loose. And so I was more loose. It actually kind of worked that way. And I'm kind of surprised that from far away, at least, it still kind of looks photorealistic, doesn't it? My tip here, don't do what I did. Never do that. I have no idea why I chose to do that, because it was actually a conscious choice. Don't make the edge of your paper the edge of your artwork. Just don't do it. You either draw in the frame within which you want to put your drawing, or you use Frog's tape, so you have very crisp, clean edges when you take the tape off. But don't do that. For framing options later, it's so much better if the edge of your drawing is not the edge of the paper. Spread out during the whole week, because it's 3 sessions, was this, it's called optical color mixing. And what you do with this exercise is you don't mix colors on your palette. You use the colors directly out of the tube and mix it optically on the canvas. I found it a little questionable at some point, because for me to be true optical color mixing, that would mean, for example, that I'm not using any green. I'm only using maybe the primary colors, blue and yellow, and I place it so that it from far away looks like green. Now, they didn't give you real instructions on which colors you're allowed to use and which ones you're not. And Ellie also uses mixed colors that she has. On top of that, this is painted on a black canvas, and I don't have that radiance set from Gamblin. It's nowhere to be found, at least not in Europe. And so I really don't own bright opaque colors. I couldn't do the exercise, I felt, the way they meant for me to do it. But then I decided to do it my way, and I still learned a lot. And my tip for you here is, do not get frustrated, but actually learn to make executive decisions. You are the boss. You decide what is a good exercise for you, or how the exercise is good for you. I love this program and the instructors, because what they do is they give you the power back, and that's so different from any other school, and it gives you so much power, so take it. There are actually 2 videos, but one is really relevant to this painting, where I talk about how you can elevate your colors in your paintings. It really helped me. And it's also a time lapse of me painting this. It was just ugly the whole time until the last, I don't know, 10 minutes. And now I think it looks okay, especially from far away. It's not something I would have ever painted stylistically. And I don't think this pointillism thing is mine at all. And the other video I made where I used this it's about how you can adjust the ratio of your source. So the source had a very different aspect ratio, but I didn't want to cut off the top and the bottom to make it be the right one. So I have a little trick that might come in useful for you. So then came a complete shift of mode with John's L theory. This is John Milan, and everybody's looks so different. It's so cool. I planned a bit too much, and I think I could have been much freer if I hadn't planned and already thought of what I'll be doing with this. So I'm not too crazy about this, but I do some surface pattern design, and I tried a surface pattern design using this. Here it is. And I think it's really cool. So I'm probably going to put it on some backpacks or bags in my Etsy store. I think it's a really cool design, and I might even turn it into a little bit of a collection. It was such a different, suddenly, way of creating. It was really, you know, not having a source. Maybe that was like one of the very first times. And I really felt this shift, left brain, right brain going on. And it was really, really exciting to feel that. Then there was another assignment for this week, and I overlooked it. So I actually didn't do this in section 9 week. I did it a week later, which is insane because, wait and see, section 10, so many artworks to do, crazy. And then I had to fit this one in as well. That was a little bit insane. My actual tip is watch the bonus content. So underneath the lessons video, there is additional resources, and there was bonus content that I thought was really valuable for this one. And sometimes it's easy to overlook. So this one was about line quality. Watch the bonus content if you have the time for it. So section 10 is actually not more drawing and painting sessions. It's usually 6, but you have like 1 drawing or painting per session and then some. And that felt kind of insane because I have days where I do 2 sessions, and so you do 2 finished pieces in 1 day. But the good thing is you really get used to it. I think I once read that it takes 30 days to form a habit, meaning if you do it every day for 30 days, that's when it becomes a habit. I'm now not sure, maybe it's even 60. I would even go further and say it's now become a personal need, a yearning. I don't even know what else to do anymore. No, you know how they always tell you have to set priorities. Yes, but the great thing is it kind of happens automatically. One morning I went down to the studio at 8 o'clock, which is not what I usually do. But there was no other way to fit 2 sessions in on that day. And so I just went down and did 2 sessions in 1 morning. So 2 full paintings or drawings in 1 morning. So that was a lot. And I can just see that there will be days when I will do sessions at times when I don't usually even think about it. Especially by the time I paint my own stuff. I can totally see that happening without somebody telling me you were gonna have to do that. So that's really cool. It's about foreshortening, amongst other things. The thing you do is you draw your own hand. And my tip here is to draw this fast. Like really sketch it out. Don't get stuck on this finger when you don't have even the rough shape figured out. The thing is that you think it's easy to always hold your hand in the same position, but it's really not. There's so many joints in your hand that you can move. It's insane. So then we had to do these graphite sketches, and regarding the complexity of anything foreshortened, really didn't give you much time to do these. You know, I was using the scaling tool, but not for every single little thing. You know, your eyes are getting much better at seeing stuff, and also your use of the scaling tool, you know, things are just getting easier. But I was also feeling that looseness is coming in, which, yay, you know, I have been hoping. And my tip here is when you feel that welling up in you, let yourself off the leash. Like I felt with the hair here, for example, that I don't have to, for every hair, look at the source and make it photorealistic. If you feel stuff like that, you know, also these lines of the skirt, there are places where you can be loose. Let yourself off the leash if you feel that happening. Same here, you're getting faster. Still, I want to bring some attention to, you want to know where it's worth spending more time and where it's okay to get faster. Like that crowd in perspective. I'm still a little annoyed when I see it now that I didn't take a little more care in making those table ellipses really right. Gathering all of that experience, I now know that preliminary sketches are one of the most important things, and it's worth spending your time there. So I had 2 hours for this drawing, and I actually spent the whole first hour, so half the time, really went into just the sketch, just getting the proportions right. And I knew that that was time well invested, because the shading, that's like just a coloring book afterwards, you know, you're just putting in the values. I'm very happy that I took that time to make the sketch right, because that's something that you will see in the end if something is off. So learn to understand where time spent is time well spent, and where you're going to be annoyed if you rush through it, versus where it's really okay. And then another foreshortened drawing, which is a kind of a combination piece where they give you 3 sources that you put together somehow. I had fun doing this, it was a nice experience, and here it is. So if that already seemed like a lot to you for section 10, no, we have 3 oil paintings, also all from that week. So obviously these are alla primas, meaning in one sitting, which is still not my favorite way to paint with oils. I'm giving myself the possibility that I might master it and really love it at some point. These are white on white, black on black, and limited palette. By the way, I never know if it's palette or palette. One huge tip that I have is remember that people will not see the source you have painted from. So don't get married to the source. And I have now decided is for the end section of my painting, I am gonna get rid of the source. I will stop looking at the source and let me give the finishing touches the way I want to do them. I had to rush these things again. I have a tip. You might want to try putting on different styles of music and see whether it makes a difference to how you paint. You know, really mellow music might not help you get faster. So you might just want to experiment with that and have some fun with that. Now, having said about, you know, don't get married to your sources, and also having in past videos said I suggest you do paint from their sources, which is, by the way, so much fun because other people are painting the same thing and everybody's looks so different, you know. However, I used my own source for this one. This is limited palette. There is green in every color that I used. Reason I took my own source was that I really didn't find one that they suggested that I could motivate myself to paint. And my tip here is there has to be some kind of motivation to do it. Otherwise, you're not going to produce a good painting, no matter what. Once I decided I'm not using any of their sources, I was really motivated to do it. And I like the outcome. I still think I might turn it into a not alla prima, meaning I will do a second layer on it at some point, because it's a little bit unfinished to me, but I get really good reactions from people, so I'm actually not even 100% sure yet, but we'll see. So that was section 10, kind of insane. I've seen people in the community starting to doubt all their abilities. Don't question your superpowers because you have weaknesses. Everybody has weaknesses. And maybe section 10 brings out weaknesses in a lot of people. So this tip is actually a tip for your life. Practice beginner's mind. If you have never heard of it, it's something well worth looking into. Something that comes out of Zen philosophy. And it really means dropping your expectations and your preconceived ideas and seeing everything with an open and a fresh, new beginner's mind. Not having expectations makes your whole life a better experience. It makes better relationships. If you're expecting somebody to do stuff, your expectation can either be met or disappointed. If you're not expecting the same person to do anything and they do something, you're very elated, you're happy. It gives you so much more positive of an experience. You will also have less procrastination and you will have less anxiety, because procrastination and anxiety, what are they caused by? Basically expectation. Oh, this is going to be hard. I don't know if I can do this. That's all caused by basically expectation. So beginner's mind is a huge one. Maybe you can feel that I'm passionate about it. It's really something that's worth looking into. So you might want to do that. And especially for section 10, be cool. Be cool, stay cool. It's all fun. It's all good. So section 11 is self-portrait week, which is another one that's tough for a lot of people, apparently. I've been wanting to make a self-portrait. I will tell you later why. I went into it with a lot of curiosity, beginner's mind. So the first thing you do is you just draw the elements of your face separately. Ellie shows it with a handheld mirror. I used the big mirror. With the big mirror here, I was literally able to just tip over and draw, you know. I didn't have to make sure all the distances are always the same and the angles and everything. I find it much easier if you have a bigger mirror. That went pretty well. They gave you 1.5 hours. I timed myself. I gave myself 20 minutes for each. And then I realized that the self-portrait they want you to draw, they also give you 1.5 to 2 hours. So I'm like, okay, that means each eye gets 20 minutes, the nose gets 20 minutes, and that's already the first hour. So you know you're, again, having to rush it a little bit. This is the one I made from the mirror. It's not that great. I recognize myself though. So I'm happy enough with it. I love using tinted paper, and I used some of my colored charcoal and had a good experience, got some looseness in, enjoyed the process. Then a self-portrait drawing from a photo. So this is from mirror, then you do one from photo, and then you do a painting from photo. And you can use photos of you that you have, but they also say go take your selfie. And it's a very interesting process because you have to decide what you want to look like, also what you want to express in the photo. One thing that they never say that I find super important in portraits, don't choose one where you show teeth. Drawing or painting teeth in a portrait is the hardest thing to get right. It's a known thing. I'm not just the only one saying that. It's a known thing. Teeth in portraits are really, really hard to get right. So if you take a selfie or choose a photo of yourself, maybe one where you're not showing your teeth. I was just taking a break from drawing when I took this one. The sun was really bright in my eyes. I'm not wearing any makeup. And I like this very honest expression. And I like the way the drawing came out. I'm also happy with the painting. Struggled a bit with that blouse, which is one of my favorite blouses. One thing I want to say, and why I was looking forward to painting a self-portrait. I love watching the show Portrait Artist of the Year. If you don't know it, There is also Landscape Artist of the Year. Check it out. You learn so much. And in order to take part in the contest, you have to send in a self-portrait. And the judges are so great talking about the artworks that people send in. And you see so much different kind of artworks. And the judges often talk about why somebody puts themselves in a certain way in the portrait. I was going for something very plain for this one. I believe we will do self-portraits again later, where I might think a little bit more about the whole setup and everything. If you don't know that show, you might want to check it out. If you're into portraiture, definitely check it out. They are now nominated for a BAFTA, so it's really cool. No, this is not all there is. There is one more piece, which is the final assignment, and you get to choose yourself what you're going to paint. Start thinking about that 2 weeks earlier, maybe already, because if you're like me, it's going to be a difficult decision. At some point I thought, I'm making it mean too much. And I realized that all the things that I would want to paint would be mixed media, which is why I'm excited to get into part 2. And then I decided I don't have to make it such a big thing. It's the final assignment of part 1, which is the technical painting and drawing section. Having said that, it's still worth thinking about it. So then we had some drawings, suddenly like abstract stuff without a source. I think it started with the abstract landscape, which is this one. And I want to show you this. It's a first and only assignment, I think, that I did twice in this whole part 1. This is the first go I had at it. There was no looseness in this. I was planning way too much. And it was supposed to be an abstract landscape where you just start with loose scribbles. I was just in left brain the whole time. And then I did these two parallel to each other, because sometimes I would let something dry and then just continue on the other. I think they're fun. My tip that I have, always clean up after your session. Make it a routine. It's so much more joyful and easier, and you need so much less motivation to go to your studio if you know everything is nicely cleaned up or even already set up for your next session. Like if you know my next session is going to be a painting session and you just did drawing, you know, put all your drawing stuff away, clean up, maybe even take all the oil painting stuff out so that the next time you come, you're ready to go. It makes it so much easier to go to your next session. Yeah, and then there's this one, which is a tree. I again used tinted paper and some of my favorite drawing materials. I like it. I'm not overly thrilled with it. I kind of went through the motions because by that time I was already working on my final assignment and I was really happy about how that was going. And I think my thoughts just had already kind of moved on. Actually, I love trees. I'm somebody who hugs trees and who talks to trees sometimes. It was a good exercise practicing. I now know my materials much better. So purpose served, right? There's one thing I want to say. Learn the difference, observe it, between looseness and carelessness. Now this is big. On the outside, they look so similar. If you see an artist be very loose, careless is not the same. It's not like, I'll just do something and be really spontaneous. Being spontaneous is good, being loose is good, but being careless is not good. So the difference is, being careless is being sloppy and not meaning anything. Being loose still means being deliberate, that in each stroke there is a message, an energy that you're putting into your stroke. When I realized that, it was kind of a big revelation for me. They look very similar to the outside. And they're so not. You will feel it. So observe that. Learn to observe the difference. And sometimes what happens when you're being loose, it suddenly turns into carelessness. And if you notice that, stop yourself, step away. So with abstracts like these, I think it's like giving yourself up to other forces, turning off your left brain for sure. Also, I think there has to be a certain willingness to risk ruining your artwork. I keep thinking there should be instant regret videos for painting. It happens all the time, you know? You do something and you're like, oh, that was bad. I shouldn't have done that. Like, almost like a circus artist. I think that's kind of what we artists do, is we dare to do, feel, and bring out stuff in order to motivate others to have that courage as well. So here comes the big reveal, my final piece. I actually opted for a still life. After all this elaboration, what am I gonna paint? What am I gonna paint? Oh my god, it's the final assignment, it has to mean something. You know, I decided to paint the very thing, the blank canvas. I enjoy that double meaning of it. The community has been amazing when I posted it. It seems that everybody understood it, everybody got it. And I mean, that's kind of, again, having the courage to really look at something. I think that's even in this a little bit as well. I would have always said I don't fear the blank canvas, because a blank canvas is actually full of hope and potential. And so that's why I'm like, well, I'm gonna paint the white canvas. So it's a worthy finale for me for my part 1 of the mastery program. A general tip for this part 1, probably for life: allow yourself to fail. If you notice that you're failing, there could also be a reason. Like if you keep blending things and they keep telling you not to blend things, okay, try not to. But it could also be that that will be your style. It's only about what you make a choice, and not because you can't do it any other way. So allow yourself to fail, I think, is a pretty big one. So when I finished with this, it was right before Easter. And Easter is typically here anyway, 4 days off for a lot of people, including my husband. And I realized I had not even thought about how many days I'm giving myself off. Where am I going with this? Learn to be your own employer. Get used to being your own employer and be a nice employer. Tell your employee their duties, but also their freedoms. Also give clear input. It's so much easier if you set some rules, and as an employee also take it like a job. Go to the studio when it's work time. So practice that. It's the last tip that I have. I also want to say I think I'm gonna make a behind the scenes video. All the other stuff that I am doing concerning my art career, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm starting to think about, that I'm starting to organize, that I'm just gearing up for, that I think is relevant and might be of interest to you and help you also just make some decisions. So thank you again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to be back with more artworks for the next part. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe to my channel, but you can also subscribe to my newsletter on my homepage. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram. If you subscribe to my newsletter on my homepage, you will receive coupons for some of my art that I sell. Soon I will sell originals, but I'm also selling prints, and I'm selling some of my art on products. And you will receive a coupon if you subscribe to my newsletter. So why don't you do that? Everything is linked, and I really hope to see you again. So take care.